The most important red flag that I'm seeing in many job ads. And that is people are looking for what we call in the Netherlands the schaap met vijf poten, jack of all trades, right? All right, everyone. Welcome to my session about growing your career in experimentation. My name is Kevin Anderson. I'm founder of Experimentation Jobs. And today we're going to talk about careers in experimentation. And why is that important? You might have heard about this term, right? You are maybe a CRO specialist or working in experimentation, and people say a CRO is dead. Or AI will take over the world. Now, if that is true, even if you don't believe it, but maybe it is true, maybe not. What if it is true? What does it mean for your career? And even if it's not true, then still you might think about how you want to or how you can advance your own career in this world, right? So that's the topic we're going to talk about today. And why is careers important? I think this is a topic that is not talked about enough, at least not in conferences. Yes, we talk about it one-on-one, together in small groups, maybe Slack channels. But on stage at conferences, it's always about process of experimentation, maybe about tooling or results. But what about the probably most important aspect is the human being, right? You, me, the people working in this space. And that is about our careers. Now, a couple of years ago, I started together with Tom van den Berg this job board, Experimentation Jobs. And I'm going to share some insights from this job board. Each week, we have a new batch of jobs, specifically for roles in experimentation and CRO. So if you're interested, take a look. And one of the interesting things is that there are an enormous amount of different job titles out there. So you might call yourself a CRO specialist, but if you look at the specific terms, there are many others. Now, what will you learn today? Again, first, some data points, right? We need to get on the same level here. Then I'm going to share what the standard CRO specialist profile looks like. Explain some differences in seniority. I'm going to warn you for the biggest red flag I'm seeing in job ads. I'm going to share 3 trends that go beyond the CRO role, at least the things that I'm seeing. We'll share some tips from your peers. And I'm going to finish with the things that you can start doing today. Because this is about information, but I hope I can inspire you to take action as of today. So if you're ever thinking about taking the next step or thinking about how you can advance your career, today is the starting point. Okay, let's go. Data points first. So as you can see, across the month, it's around 47 jobs every month that we add. And this fluctuates a bit, but we're investing now in automation. So this will, first of all, it will go up, right? We expect to add more jobs. And this will be probably more constant. Types of roles that are on the job board. First of all, it's the CRO or experimentation specialist. So 37% is specifically around that. Again, they might be called differently, but if you categorize them, they are in this bucket. Then a quarter of all the roles are data science, analytics related, but they do have a big chunk where experimentation plays a role. 13% growth or marketing roles, and then it goes down 10% PM work, engineering roles 7%, and then director or lead experimentation 4%. And there's a tiny bucket of different things are still related to experimentation, but they don't fit these roles. Now, types of organizations is almost 80-20, right? 80% is like companies. Again, there are many more companies than agencies or vendors. But I think this shows that even if you want to work at a vendor, there are roles there as well. So there are different types of organizations present and looking for people. First, before I'm going to share the results here about way of working, just have a think what do you expect, right? What do you expect here for the results? So what do you think about the job roles that are posted in our space? Is it on site mostly or hybrid? What do you think? Okay, here are the results. On site 34%, hybrid 38%. So that's the biggest chunk. But remote is also still big, right? So if you enjoy working remotely and only want to go into an office once every couple of weeks, there are plenty of roles that are on offer. Now, if you look at the statistics, so across the last couple of years, this has been growing, and now steadily around 2 to 2.5 thousand visitors each month that visit the job board. Again, I'm biased here, but I expect this to go up, right? I think this is an important space that companies will still be investing in. So if you ever want to explore your career, you can have a look here. I also looked at jobs, so the location of jobs and the traffic that is coming from the website. And if you compare those things, you can see some interesting things, right? So when you look at the jobs, most of the jobs are in the US, right? It's probably the biggest market. So 37% of all jobs are in that area. Only 25% of traffic is coming from there. So, of course, this could have multiple reasons. Probably many people don't know this resource yet from there, or maybe people are just not looking as much. That can also be a possibility. The other insight is there are many companies or countries not listed here on the list. So if you are from one of those areas and you think the job should be listed or you're missing something, please reach out and we can have a chat. Maybe they are called differently in your area, right? So we need to do a better search. Okay. Then moving up to expectations of a CRO specialist. Now the standard CRO specialist, and again, I put this in air quotations, is like this, right? You need to have some A/B testing experience, at least 2+ years of hands-on experience. You need to have some experience in analytical tooling. Google Analytics, Adobe is often mentioned. Of course, you need to have some experience in testing platforms like Optimizely, VWO, or Adobe Target, or any other, but at least those are often mentioned. You need to be able to analyze data and have a good interpretation of data. So strong analytical skills for turning data into actionable insights. Of course, the basis of our work is very grounded in statistics. So please understand those concepts very well. And then we go into other domains maybe. So UX and UI principles. So a CRO specialist at least needs to have an understanding of those things, because you often will be working with UX designers. So it really helps if you understand the terms, the methodologies, and even have your own taste and perspective on this area. You will also be working with engineers, or sometimes even code test yourself. So at least basic web technology experience is important. Then tech manager is often called out communication skills, because doing the test is one thing, but being able to communicate those things to stakeholders is also very important. And then project management, right? Moving experiments or tests through the different steps, probably across teams. You need to be able to run projects very well. Now, this all covers an analytical mindset, right? Be strong in data-driven decision-making and solving problems. Again, 2 to 5 years of experience. Senior roles are often 5+ years. E-commerce background is also mentioned.
My name is Romo Santiago, founder of Experimentation. Our new book, Prove It or Lose It, the mostly no-nonsense guide to surviving experimentation program drama, is out now. Find it at experimentation.com and all major bookstores today.
All right, so that's the standard role. But you are not standard, right? You might be junior, mid-year, senior. So look at what kind of differences do we see in those job ads promoting those roles. Now, when we look at experience, CRO specialist, 2 to 4 years, senior, 5+, and a lead or head, right? Not often mentioned how many years, but at least it's listed to have a significant experience. with proven leadership track record. When we look at responsibilities, it goes from designing and executing and analyzing A/B tests for the CRO specialist, all the way to more in-depth, more client and stakeholder communication, team mentoring, right? That does the senior CRO specialist. And then the lead or the head is overseeing the program, doing the recruitment, hiring, managing a team. Required skills, again, goes from CRO specialist, where often a bachelor degree is relevant, at least some A/B testing experience and basic understanding of UX principles. And that it moves up to more advanced in statistics, in delivery, in communication, and in analytics. And then if you want to go into a lead or a head of CRO role, then you need to be able to strategically think across the business, right? How do you position experimentation or CRO in the wider business objectives? So again, strategic, from execution of tests all the way to managing the department and the business goals. Now, leadership, not so much mentioned in CRO specialist, of course, but if you want to grow, then the best part is start mentoring junior specialists, right? Because that will be a step up to a senior CRO specialist. But if you want to be the lead, then of course you need to grow in managing, coaching, and those kind of skills. The business impact will also differ, right? It goes again from individual test level to organization-wide. So you can think about the last couple of tests. Where were they, right? Were they really on the individual level? Or was I working within a department or within a couple of teams? Or was I really driving a specific topic across the company, right? If you are doing that, if you are driving specific topics across the company, then you're definitely on the right path, right? You're at least advancing and having a broader impact here. When I show these things, people ask, what about salary, right? What are the salary ranges for those roles? The honest answer is I don't have that data. At least I have some data, but in many countries, it's not available yet. I do see a trend where many job ads do have the salary data. So I expect if I run this presentation in a year's time, I will be able to share those things. Now, the big question, of course, is this is based on a previous data set, right? This is data already out there for the last 2-3 years. How will AI impact this? Of course, we don't know, but what I would expect at least, the more operational tasks, those will be impacted by AI first. All the things that are influencing others, working with people, driving bigger topics, I think the more you advance in those areas, the less impact AI will have. But again, we'll have to wait and see. I promise you to show you the most important red flag that I'm seeing in many job ads. And that is people are looking for what we call in the Netherlands the schaap met 5 poten, jack of all trades, right? They want a CRO specialist that can be anything, right? And has to do everything. Of course, you need to have some kind of knowledge about UX and engineering, maybe. But if you want, if they're asking for someone that has to do everything and also run a program, I think this is a big, big red flag. So think about this, right? If you are the only one in a company doing CRO, you might question if this is the right approach. Maybe you should move into another area, another role within a company, another domain, or even switch companies, right? Or try to hire an agency to at least get more people with more understanding and knowledge working together with you. Not easy, but see this as a red flag. And if you are in this situation, I can feel your pain. We've been mostly talking about CRO, right? Conversion rate optimization specialist roles. But of course, there's more, right? I showed you already 37% of the roles are CRO specialists. So that means that more than 60% are different roles. Now, what kind of roles do I see, right? So in the heart, again, CRO or experimentation specialist, and you work mostly for companies or an agency, right? You're in a specialist role. On the other side, experimentation is also needed in different kind of roles, right? You're a growth role or a marketer, you're in analytics, a PM, UX researcher, engineering. At least you need to have some understanding of experimentation. And oftentimes you're at least doing some part of the work when you want to release an A/B test. So experimentation, you could also see it as part of a role within companies. On the other side, more and more companies are hiring enabling teams, right? They don't do the experimentation themselves, but a director of experimentation is leading a PM, for example. There are maybe one or two data scientists. There are people with training roles and engineering, and they don't do the experiments themselves, but they help the rest of the organization to grow into maturity around experimentation. So they give training, they answer support questions, and they keep developing this infrastructure to make it easier and easier every week, every month. Now, of course, you can find those roles within companies and, of course, within vendors, right? If you want to have a big impact and do an enabling role, you want to be maybe work for a vendor, because then you can influence thousands and companies or teams. Now, I'm seeing three trends. First of all, I think the CRO or experimentation specialist role is unbundling. Many roles, it's just not sustainable anymore to do everything, right? At least you need to be strong in one area. So probably what we're going to see is that this is moving towards other areas, right? So the experimentation specialist that is helping the rest of the company will have like an enabling role and will move out of the operational part of experimentation, but will only focus on helping and enabling the rest of the organization. But maybe you would like to work as a marketer, or you really love the statistics, so you want to become a data scientist, or you want to influence the delivery and the impact of a full-fledged delivery team. You want to become a product manager. You can take your skills that you've built up in the role of a specialist and take them to other different roles, right? Again, experimentation will be part of your role, but it will not be the only thing you're doing. The other trend I'm seeing is that more and more companies are less and less building their own infrastructure, but more integrating and driving adoption, right? There are so many good experimentation tools out there right now that maybe 10, 20 years ago, it made a lot of sense to build an experimentation platform from scratch. Nowadays, if you have nothing in place or is very minimal, please start with something that you can buy off the shelf and only work with the things that you really need specific use cases for. So maybe you can add on stuff, or of course work with the vendor to help and drive the use case, and maybe they can add it to the product. So that makes a lot of sense, right? So this team is not building the infrastructure, but it's integrating, right? Making SDKs easy to integrate. It's giving trainings, it's driving adoption. Now, the third trend I'm seeing is, again, it's becoming part of other roles, right? So if you like this, this is a perfect path forward. And now it comes to you. What will be your direction? I don't know. But at least I can give you some guidance here. I think you can move up, right? You are maybe now a CRO specialist. I've showed you the roadmap, how you can become a senior or even lead a department, right? You can grow into seniority. Or you can take your skills and go into another discipline, go into analytics, go into marketing, and use your experimentation skills and apply that into different roles, right? You're widening your skill set and are now a different role. You can become the enabler, helping the rest of the organization to do experimentation well. This means you won't be involved in the day-to-day practice, but it will give you visibility to the wide impact experimentation can have across the company. Of course, you can switch environment, right? Switch from one company to another. Go from in-house to an agency. Start your own agency. Join a vendor. There are different roles, right? You can switch environment And that's also completely a viable option. To be honest, I think growing in seniority and the other discipline are the most common path, right? That's the most clear one. But please also look at enabling stuff or just join a different space. Now, some tips from your peers, because you're not alone here. On experimentation jobs, you will find many interviews with people from our space, like Lucia van den Brink. And she recommends to sneak your way into experimentation, right? She started like this, and now she's running her own agency. So yes, you can do this. She did it. If you want more advice, read her story or connect with her. Els recommends to get at least a broad basic foundation, right? That will give you the basis you can build your career upon and really educate yourself about the business. Because in a business context, if you understand the business context, you will better be able to understand why such and certain decisions are being made, and you can position yourself and your services in the best way possible. Erin recommends to really get fluent in the language of data. This is very important, right? She's more in the UX and design area, but she has expanded her knowledge and knows a lot about data, and at least has been putting in the effort to learn those things. Laura recommends to connect with other peers, right? Maybe with her. If you want to learn more, definitely reach out to those people here. And of course, Rommel, right? The big leader of this conference. Again, he's really about connection. He also recommends to connect with others, start sharing your own opinions on LinkedIn. Even if you have never posted something, just share what you've learned from this session or the other sessions in this online conference. Maybe become part of the Experiment Nation. Right? There are so many ways you can contribute. As soon as you start contributing, people will reach out. You're connected to more people, and you can build your understanding, and you can ask others for help. It's really powerful way to grow your career. Like I mentioned, more than 60 career interviews already on the job board. So take a look at experimentation jobs/career. Interviews. Now, what can you start doing as of today? A couple of things. First of all, start again with understanding where you currently are. If you don't know where you are, it's really hard to understand where you're going. But then get an idea of where you want to go, right? I've painted some pictures of what kind of directions you could take. Just connect with those people, right? Understand what people are doing in those roles. So then you get an idea of what where your interests are and your capabilities. Then go explore that direction, right? Maybe you can, I don't know, work with someone for a full day or even a full week. Really good, deep dive into their role and understand what they're doing. Join meetings, join their work, and really observe what they're actually doing. So you can connect with others, learn from their experiences. Of course, you can look for interesting jobs, and that way you can learn. Maybe there's something out there for you. And it's also a great way to identify any gaps that you are currently seeing, right? So if you want to progress your career, know where you want to go, and then see what kind of gaps there are. Because if you know the gaps, you can fill them. Get that relevant experience that you need. Build your profile, right? Do that public, right? Make it clear that you want to advance your career with your own manager, but also externally, right? Yeah, build your connections, and then get that dream job, right? It will happen, I'm sure. Now, don't wait for perfect, right? You are more than ready. I know that, right? You probably are overthinking this. Don't make this a big project that you will do in a couple of months. Start doing it today. Do a tiny bit every week, ideally every day. Start thinking about this, and then you will get the ball rolling. But never optimize for average, right? Leverage your unique skills, your unique interests, and your own personality. Don't become the standard CRO specialist. Become the CRO specialist in a specific role, because you are having these unique skills, because you have those unique interests. if you become that person, everyone wants to hire you. Most of all, enjoy the journey. There's so many interesting opportunities out there. Start developing them and find them. And I know you will have a lot of fun and start growing your career. Thank you. If you have ever want to have some advice or you have some questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to bounce ideas off. Thanks, everyone, and have an enjoyable rest of this online conference. Thanks. Bye-bye.
My name is Romo Santiago, founder of Experiment Nation. Our new book, Prove It or Lose It, the mostly no-nonsense guide to surviving experimentation program drama, is out now. Find it at experimentnation.com and all major bookstores today.